Statistics show that saving money is one of the most difficult things to accomplish as a human being. And that makes sense because other species don't need to worry about stuffing dollar bills in a mattress or accumulating numbers on their cell phone. But in the same way that some animals preemptively store food for the future, well, we as humans are sort of forced to think about saving money in a capitalist society. So in this light, why is it so difficult for many of us to accomplish? Back in 2019, it was estimated that the average Canadian saved only around $480 in that entire calendar year, resulting from a savings rate of roughly 1.3%. And similar to this reality, around 70% of Americans are said to have less than $1,000 in savings, which makes it extremely difficult to plan for any unexpected cost that might arise in the future. So this is obviously an issue that many individuals are faced with at one moment or another in their lives. And unfortunately, many of us are not really taught anything about saving, investing, or any personal finance in either high school or even university for that matter. And considering all of this, I've personally been extremely fortunate over the past couple of years to be in a situation where I've now been able to save and amass an amount of money that has been life-saving for myself. Others might find this amount to be a lot or not too much, but for me, this was definitely an amount that I was striving to achieve. And so in today's video, I wanted to speak about what some of these elements were that I implemented in my own life that helped me achieve my savings goals, and hopefully you can also implement these in your own life. Now, when most people think about why saving money is so difficult, either for themselves or for others, typically, at least what I have noticed, is that individuals try to pinpoint a specific reason on an outside source. This might be either having too much debt that's keeping you chained down, or maybe you aren't making enough income from your job to sustain your current lifestyle. But in my experience, it usually comes down to one element in particular before pretty much anything else, and that is the individual's general mindset around creating and spending the money that they have right now. How you treat your money day in and day out, essentially, combined with how you view the concept of creating and accumulating money. Right? So people who work for a bi-weekly paycheck and then view the money they earn as a tool that they can use to buy consumer goods or go out for entertainment will generally have a much harder time saving any substantial amount of money over time. And this makes complete sense because every single day, at least here in North America, we're bombarded with advertisements for new ways we had never thought of prior to part with the money that we've worked so hard to earn. But the challenge then becomes trying to force ourselves into a mental state of abundance when it comes to increasing our income, and then also be in parallel to this in a mental state of scarcity when it comes to spending money. That right there is pretty much the key to saving more of your income. Now, in the documentary Money Explained on Netflix, there was a passage that I found quite interesting that had to do with why people had such a difficult time getting themselves to save for the future, especially when it came to saving for retirement. And what they were essentially saying was that most people viewed their future selves years down the line as pretty much nothing more than a complete stranger. So in this light, why would anyone look to save money for a stranger down the line when they could use that money and spend it today out buying drinks at the bar for people that they actually do know? It's basically a form of present bias, and that typically people are going to be more inclined to spend money on themselves today or in the short term rather than work on continuously building up their savings nest egg. And even people who are looking to continue increasing their savings, well, this can very much feel like an uphill, never-ending battle over the long term. So I gave this quite a bit of thought, and this makes perfect sense in that it's basically no different than any other type of goal, where say a 10 to 20 year goal is going to seem a lot less feasible, and for this reason, it will generally be less top of mind than say a 6 to 18 month goal. This was definitely the case for myself when I was looking to save up towards initially having 6 months worth of my expenses as an emergency fund, where I wasn't looking at this as a 10-year goal. No, this was in the now, right now, and so for this reason, it was top of mind. If you seriously strive to save more this year, then you need to make it a specific financial goal. Not just, I'm going to save more this year. You should really set out, I want to save $10,000 or I want to save $20,000 this year, because for this reason, it'll be a concrete goal and that will spill over into other aspects of your personal life as well as your finances, because now it's something that you actually care about. And so your mind is geared and tuned towards making that a reality. In fact, just last year, over the course of the pandemic, while most retail and restaurants were forced to shut down, savings rates in Canada as well as the United States rose to their highest level in decades. The average Canadian was able to save just over $5,500 over the course of 2020, which is roughly 11 times higher than the savings rate in 2019. This has resulted in lower credit card balances, fewer loan defaults, and increased credit scores, all of which are positive elements to be seeing. And the same holds true for Americans, where the average personal savings rate reached a staggering 33% in early 2020, up dramatically from the average savings rate. So obviously, it's quite possible to save more of our income when the opportunity for spending is greatly reduced. The data shows this firsthand. In fact, this is the first step in the overall equation for saving more money. And this is exactly what I did around 3 years back when I first became very interested in increasing my level of savings. This is something that I did by my own free will, even before we were forced to essentially save more by the government shutting down businesses temporarily. And that's just it though. Saving money literally needs to become part of your lifestyle and be a part of your mental headspace every single day. And I'm not advocating becoming the cheapest person around. You can still enjoy life and do things with friends and family, but if you aren't cautious with your spending and mindful of your personal cash flows, it'll pretty much be impossible to save more money, in the same way that working out twice a month is not going to do much for your six-pack. As simplistic as it may seem, other than reducing your expenses, including debt and debt payments, along with increasing your income, there really aren't any other ways to save more money, other than maybe winning the lottery, which is exactly what happened to me. No. So while gaining control of your expenses is definitely the first step to success here, well, you can only reduce your expenses by so much. And most people who live in a metropolitan area are still going to have minimum monthly expenses of at least a couple $1,000s. The reality here is that increasing your income is really what's going to move the needle on being able to save a much higher amount per month, because you have essentially unlimited leverage in terms of how much you can create in personal income monthly rather than reducing your expenses. And this is where creativity, consistency, and entrepreneurship really take the lead in regards to your capacity to increase your income levels. In fact, according to an annual survey conducted by Go Banking Rates, the number one reason why individuals said that they were not able to save more of their income was because they were living paycheck to paycheck, meaning your income is basically flush with your expenses. And in parallel to this, roughly 38% of respondents said that a higher paycheck would help them save more, while 18% said that lowering their debt would make it easier to set aside more cash. And yes, in my own experience, living paycheck to paycheck definitely was the number one contributor to struggling financially. This was pretty much my reality for the first 6 months to even a year when I had initially moved out, like basically everyone will also experience at one time or another. But while I couldn't control my income right away, even though I was doing certain things to try and increase my income, what I could control at the beginning were both my expenses on a monthly basis, but then also the investment of something that everyone has, and that is my time. And what I mean by this is temporarily reducing your time spent on leisurely activities to instead start investing that time into activities that will allow you to increase your income. That could be either working overtime to secure that raise that you've been eyeing, or even picking up a second job. Maybe if you're more on the entrepreneurial side, you start that side hustle that you've been thinking about for years, which is the path that I personally chose to take. And while it's definitely the path that's the most bumpy and unpredictable over time, it's also the path that does allow for much quicker gains in income over a short to medium time frame when you do eventually hit your stride. I've been in this space as a finfluencer on YouTube for over 2 years now, and over this course of time, I've seen it time and time again, people trying to find a way to skip past the compounding of their efforts towards reducing expenses and increasing their income, looking essentially for a way to skip past the hardship that is required to start becoming more financially literate and getting ahead. But really, if you aspire to save more this year and next, the only advice I can really give is to start educating yourself more on the topic of money and business, while also putting in the work and investing your time towards activities that will increase your value output. Now, let's briefly speak about high interest savings accounts, if we can even call those anymore, because in the current market environment, with baseline interest rates being so low, most of these accounts have annual interest rates that are around or even below 1%, which happens to be below average yearly inflation rates. Now, some people might think completely differently, but in my opinion, everyone should first and foremost seek to gain a grasp on their expenses, their income, and subsequently save up to around 6 months worth of their expenses. This is nothing new. I've spoken about it quite a bit on my channel, and it's pretty standard financial advice. But even if current interest rates are quite a bit lower than what they have been previously, I really think that there is value in saving up that first 6 months as a result of what I just spoke about, because this is going to get you, first of all, in a mental space that allows you to be better prepared before you venture on into investments in other asset classes. The way I see this is that if you don't have a financial cushion that's outside and not influenced by the market that you are able to achieve through financial discipline, then you'll typically be more prone to rash investment decisions and won't necessarily implement strong and core financial principles in your investing. Unfortunately, right now, we are definitely faced with very low interest rates in high interest savings accounts, and accounts, at least in Canada, are very scarce. But even still, I will leave a couple links down below to a couple accounts that will still allow you to generate at least some interest on your saved funds, while also getting some free money simply for signing up. For example, Wealthsimple Cash right now is offering a free $25 bonus when you sign up using the link in the description, and then you can also spread your own personal link around to get $25 every time one of your friends or family members signs up. So with all that said, if there's one thing I want you to take out of today's video, it's that saving money is more of a mindset than it is a tangible activity. Take control of your habits surrounding money, which, by the way, will take some time, and that's completely okay. But if you're able to make saving money part of your lifestyle day in and day out, then you'll realize that it becomes quite a bit easier to find ways to save money and increase your income. If you enjoyed today's video, then all I would really ask you in return is to give the video a thumbs up and share it with someone that you might think could also benefit from it. If you want to see more videos such as this one, then also consider subscribing and hitting the bell button for new and upcoming content about saving money, personal finance, along with investing in the stock market and real estate. I'm also really curious about my viewers' monthly saving goals, so make sure to comment those down below and we'll get a conversation going. So on that note, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next video.